All right. Good morning, everybody. Here live on TradeCaster, live on YouTube. As always, here trading the futures. I'm going to set my levels now as Carlos requested that I do it during the stream here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you guys real quick. Go into the 5 minutes so I can see yesterday's chart a little bit better, which is Friday. So really what you see here is I have my all-time high level. That's not going to go anywhere. These white lines are going to now get deleted since we don't really need them right away. They're part of my write-up, so you can go ahead and look in there and see what I'm looking at as far as those levels are concerned. Usually I just go in here. I go with the previous day high. I hover in here. I get a little tighter. I go with whatever the wick is. That wick there, previous day high is 20,273 and a quarter. So I take my green line, pop it up there, 273 and a quarter. I will go to coordinates, bang it down to coordinate, and now it's the exact previous day high. What do you know? Friday's previous day low, 1430 is when we created it. Previous day low, which we this was the day prior previous day low. Came into it, supported that, and then just now we're supporting that again. So this level here, right at 60-ish, is kind of important, but we are going to go and move it. The low on this candle here is low of that candle is 906 and a quarter. So I will go here and just drop it a quarter, and we're good there. Let's see. What's up, Jofi? And now we go into the overnight session, which I count from 1700 on. So we opened June 30th yesterday around right over here. 1700 we opened. We pushed down a little bit, and then we've been sideways. What do you know? Previous day low is basically the overnight low. So that's something to note. And now the overnight high is right there. Overnight high created around 1:20 a.m. and the high of that is 2075. So put that down, 2075. And there you have it. Overnight low is just below that 19,000 there, which was created. And the low is 901.50. So I'll take this down 2 ticks, 901.50. And that's how I get my levels. I do have an automated, technically an automated system. It's still not working correctly because I did not get a chance to do it overnight. So over the weekend, but here you go. Same levels, right? Previous day high is up here, that blue line, 20,273.75. This says 20,000. 273 and a quarter. This says no, and a quarter. We're good there. The orange line here is 19,906 and a quarter. Orange line is 19,906 and a quarter. Our overnight levels are the green and the red, which stop populating at midnight, and that's my issue here. However, it is pretty much within that band of range there, so up a bit higher, down a bit lower. I will keep these levels in mind because pre-midnight levels are kind of important as well. So here we are. We are opening sort of near the lows. I do like the support there at 19,900. 926, I said, was my bullish line in the sand, right? So if we open above 926, which is technically right here, make sure I'm on the right screen. Yeah. 926 is right here. So we're looking for this area to support. It looks like we kind of flushed it in the pre-market. We're starting to rotate back higher. We are on the VWAP. This is very tight even within the VWAP area. So I'm not certain to look for that failure of the overnight high to fail and break down. I may look for that area to continue. We'll see what happens with that. There are a few different scenarios. Yeah, we have it at 9. It is the ISM manufacturing PMI, so it's not like the big, PMI. It's just what it's cost manufacturers to produce goods, right? The manufacturing goods. Yeah, so we're gonna probably sit on our hands until then, right? But 845 also, you have the global manufacturing PMI index, so that could lead you into some thought of what is going to happen on that 9 o'clock number. Yeah, it's all super tight. Always, Jofi, always. I know you do. All right, so now we are open. I'm going to just set the delta levels here so I can see them properly. And as always, I will plot in here in the purple box the opening range, so you can at least see where we are in relation to the opening range for the remainder of the session. So let's see what happens. Like I said, S&P's is right on VWAP here. We're sitting just below VWAP. NVIDIA is opening and selling off pretty quickly, but there is some support here for NVIDIA at 122.50-ish. So it's getting bought right off of that. So let's wait and see. But I think this is going to probably grind its way up higher. I execute on the NASDAQ. I watch the ES for either being a leader or laggard, and I execute based on levels. So right, if let's say we were at or above overnight highs on the NQ and I was looking for a short, I would be waiting for the S&Ps to catch up, to hit off on their overnight highs and see what they do around the overnight highs because they respect levels a lot. If the S&P likes to fail a little sooner, then I'll kind of have the indication that the NQ may start to roll over as well. So I use them in conjunction, but mainly trade the NQ. If I see like a fantastic opportunity on the ES, I will execute on it, but it's more likely that I'm going to execute on the NQ. We're running into that 982.50. If you look at our levels here, this is the longer term level chart, 30 minute that I watch all the time. This level right above overhead, you can see wick here, resistance here. This is going to be, if we break and hold above here, I'd say a rotation up. Obviously overnight high is not very high, but then you also have 20,000 sitting right overhead as well. So there's that overhead resistance is 20,000. There's a lot of reasons why this is going to kind of dance around, including that PMI number like you guys mentioned. So overall, like I said, we're just going to be patient today, see what happens. Obviously, you see the red and yellow lines here is the overnight and the previous day lows. So if we come into this level and it flushes and then maybe dances around here and starts to give us a divergence, then maybe a rotation back higher from this level could give us a good bounce. We are just shy of 700-ish away from passing 2 more of these. Happy July, everybody. It is a holiday shortened week, so you do need to be aware of the trading week and the situations that are ahead of us. We have Monday and Tuesday are full trading days. Wednesday is a half day, and Thursday is a half day, but I'm not going to be trading probably either of those days. They're just going to be low liquidity, crappy opportunities. Friday's kind of like a hangover day, right? Everybody's going to be stuck from the 4th of July. They're not going to be looking to probably jump right into the markets. So you do have non-farm on Friday, but I would expect it to be more low volume, algorithmic driven kind of crap. So I would just, it's also Friday. And if you're off, there's no reason to, if you're up for the week, there's no reason to give it back on a day like that. And if you're down on the week, there's no reason to kind of feel that forced need to trade. Like I said, in my write-up, I may look for like an A+ for like a couple minutes and then shut the computer off. But otherwise, I'm not going to be streaming any other days but Monday and Tuesday due to the lack of there being any sort of trades. I don't want to encourage bad trading behavior by you going in and trading on all the other days for no reason. Got the Scalper's Delight today in the Bullish on Caffeination mug. Very, very good. Fueling my trading adventures here. All right, let me mark this off. Hold on. Oh, that's why. I'm like, why is it so smooth? There we go. 830, 831. Here's my opening range. That's my opening range. So now we're holding below opening range in the NASDAQ. And then on the S&Ps, looks like we're holding above the opening range. Or we're inside of it right now currently. So there's a divergence there. I'll do this. Text. This is something I don't execute in there. It happens. It happens. It happens. It happens. Don't kick yourself for it. That 926 perfectly to it, right? It's still early. You still need confluence for it. Like if you're just gonna hammer levels at the levels every time, I would just be cautious with it. I mean, obviously, like I said, I'll talk through the levels. I'll give you levels. I'll talk through exactly what I anticipate them to do around that area. But you got to find a reason to get in. You got to find a confluence. If you're just gonna click in every time it hits it, you're gonna be run over down to previous day lows or overnight lows or something like that where it's not necessarily a great entry yet. It could still be a good entry. You still could come back and retest it. So don't be kicking yourself just because you missed the first move, because even though it moves, it's not necessarily a trade, right? There's kind of a difference there between a move and a trade. If it hits your your level and then gives you some sort of confirmation, then yeah, that's the trade. So now we have them labeled for you guys so you don't get confused as to why this purple range is here. That's not how you spell opening. Open. Oops. That's fine. Yep, absolutely. Just kind of, like I said, we got to be patient. You guys all brought up the number coming out at 9. I would anticipate some of this kind of action still to occur until then. Let the market tell you a little bit of a directionality before you decide to just hammer into something. I like the long. I do. I would have liked it down a little lower into the lows here to get a little bit of a sweep of the liquidity, but that was a really nice bounce, especially on the 30-minute candle. If you look on the 30-minute candle, we came in, we tested that yellow line and bounced right off of it. Kind of came into that pre-midnight low. We'll see what happens with this close and then what happens with the market with after the number. So you do have that 982 overhead. You could see that. And then below 926. If we start to stay in that range, you're going to look to see which direction it goes. A lot of times this opening range breakout does work out nicely, but you are seeing that the S&Ps are still stuck in the middle of it. NVIDIA is still down below, flushed out nicely, NVIDIA. So that's leading us downside. We do have some support here at 120.90, 121. So a rotation back above 122.40, 122.50, I'd say start to push us back into this range. Then maybe we start to push up a little bit, but I think this we'll be all right here. Money, Jovi. I love it. Good stuff. We definitely could. It's an indecisive week, like I said. We do have that first week, bunch of data points, first week of the quarter, first week of the month. But like I said, with the holiday, it kind of just could bounce around, developing. And not that it's not going to be an indecision. You do have non-farm on Friday, which is something that's going to come out. You have J-Powell coming out tomorrow with his speech. So something that he says could drive the market in either way, and then start to get directional off of what he says once he's done talking, or the lack of what he says could also be important. Just want to make sure what screen I'm on. Okay, we're good. I did see that as well, Scott, that Roaring Kitty did report that he bought 9 million shares of Chewy on an SEC filing. So very interesting. Also, Ryan Cohen tweeted this morning that he needed a developer for GameStop apps in Dallas. So interesting too. Bearish engulfing daily on the SPY from Friday doesn't have it to reverse immediately, but that is a reversal signal. It is. I do like that idea. I want this 26 level to hold, like I said, for that bullishness to continue. If it fails this 26, then we start to look at these levels down here for some sort of divergence, maybe a bounce in NVIDIA that'll get you to that rally. But NVIDIA is still kind of grinding on to the downside. I see this starting to kind of stay heavy below the opening range here. I think I'm going to probably be waiting till that number comes out at 9. I don't really, like I said, the ability for me to not execute is going to help me stay in these accounts, stay more disciplined. My strategy just says don't trade away from your levels, right? Everything in the middle here is just the middle of nowhere. It's middle of my longer term range. It's the middle of my overnight, my previous day. Mondays tend to be a little bit different as far as price action is concerned. For the levels, it's rebalancing from the weekend, all that stuff. So just chill, wait. I just talk. Scrooge. I got to kind of fill the dead air, right? I got to make sure. Yeah, I just got to make sure I explain myself because I'm on stream. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting here drinking my coffee, and whoever hops in that doesn't really know me or know what we are all about, they'll be like, what's this guy just sit and stare at the screen all day? But yes, just wait for your levels to come in. Like you said, Scrooge, like, oh man, I missed that move, right? Well, what happened? We came right back down, and now we're back into that 26 level. Doesn't mean it's going to bounce here, not necessarily, but it is an area of interest where you start to make decisions based on how the longer term chart is reacting with this 26 level as we approach it, right? So if we go back into my 30-minute chart, you can see this 26 level hold, failed to break down, didn't even get close to the next level down below, rotated back up through it, tried to come back, retested it again. Then when we got that rally last week, obviously that's where we ended up, and then pulled back down right into that level on Friday, tried to break it again, could not break it here, could not break it here, broke through it here pre-market, and then immediately recovered it right back. So, and then you see the doji sitting just above it. Now we're coming into it again. Could this time be the time that we break and hold below it? I would be interested in that, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times touch for it to be an actual breakdown. We are below the opening range. We're below the opening range in the S&Ps. NVIDIA is melting, right? Here's NVIDIA right there. You can see NVIDIA melting through pretty much all these lower levels. So that gives you the confidence to think, okay, maybe this is going to hold below this 926 level and rotate us down to that next level finally from this flush down into that 841 and a quarter that I mentioned in the write-up. We do have some support here. I guess we'll call that this level here, the green line, 874 quarters is that low. So 874 quarters, I would be, I hate when I grab lines for no reason. I would wait. I mean, that's 15 minutes. We just got another number came out. 51.6, looking at 51.7 in that manufacturing PMI final, global. So might give you an indication of what we're going to get out of this. Slightly lower, but also higher than the previous. So, I mean, previous was 48.7. Anything over that number may give you a bounce with costs of goods, services, and everything coming in a little bit higher than expected. Well, I can't say that. It's higher than last time, but lower than forecast. All number manipulations. All manipulations of numbers, so they make you think that the economy is improving when everybody's out there struggling to pay their bills, and their gas bills looking like their grocery bill bills looking like their Costco bill, and their Costco bills looking like a mortgage payment. I saw that on somebody's tweet somewhere, and it's stuck in my head because it sounds pretty much exactly right. But the market doesn't care. All right, so we just flushed that overnight low. Now let's going to check our divergences. My really strong delta push to the downside. Russell's still pushing down. S&P's pushing down now. Now, when I talk about Scrooge is, I was talking about on the top side, but now on the bottom end, right? This might bounce here, but the S&P's is so far away from that overnight low that it could still drag the entire thing down and still drag the NASDAQ further than I would anticipate in my levels, right? Obviously a flush and an immediate bounce. We could get a bounce in the S&Ps right here. It does respect some of these other levels as well, right? Maybe if it bounces off of 26 or 25 and a quarter or somewhere in there. But if it's going to get that low, you would anticipate it probably comes down and tags off on 55.21. Once you get to that 55.21 level, then you can start to look at the NASDAQ and say, okay, what are you doing now? Where are we? What are we going to be doing? What are we looking for as far as the rotation through our level to the other end, back to VWAP, or are we going to continue to the downside? Is this going to be a break and retest? Because now we got to the yellow line here at 55.21 for the S&P overnight low, and then the NQ is way down below. If the NQ is way lower, we rotate back up. I mentioned that low was 874 and a quarter. We're right there right now, 874 and a quarter, right there. We tagged off 874 and a quarter as that lower end of support. If that cracks and goes, then 841.25. 841.25. 841. That came down to 74. 72 and a quarter, but I said 74 and a quarter would be that area of where it's going to stop or at least run into some resistance. So this is why I don't just hammer in at my levels. Everybody knows that watches frequently. They know that those are my levels, that I usually like to play a divergence strategy where we fail to break out, rotate back through those levels, and then come back up to VWAP and then back the other way, either up through highs or down to lows. technically, because it was super tight, kind of not so far off of the VWAP, it's not extended enough for it to be like, all right, it's going to hit my level and bounce. We have a little bit of a divergence here where the S&Ps and the NASDAQ are slightly off from each other as far as overnight levels. I'm waiting for the S&P to come off of that 55.21 before you can make a decision on what you want to do here. It may kind of roll into that 41 level and you start to get some interest, but NVIDIA is rolling straight down. The sellers have decided to come into play here. So maybe they're front running this number that's going to come out at 9 because of the previous, the global manufacturing number coming out at 51, which is still expansionary, was still inflationary. I'm guessing they're going to see this ISM manufacturing PMI tick over 50 because it was last time it was over 48. They're forecasting 50. I'm guessing they're going to probably get over 50. And so they're kind of positioning it for the inflation idea that things are still costing more than they should to produce. Let's see. There's that 55.21 level, right? This is why I don't just hammer in limit order on my levels, right? I look for confluences. These levels are just interest points for me, but they are high probability places where I look for the mean reversion tagged off that 41 quarter. And now we're just kind of bouncing around on it. Now you see we're at key levels on both charts, even though this is not the overnight low. The S&Ps could now reject this level and start to rotate back up. If it gives it a little bit of a flush and a pop, then that would give you an indication that maybe this 41.25 level holds. And if that gives up 760.75 is the top end of the gap fill that I was talking about in the write-up. So if you read through the levels that I posted in the chat prior to the market, kind of just ticked off on each of those pretty quickly. Scott, I mean, the more monitors, obviously, the more money. That's really all it comes down to, I think, in this world, right? If that's not a beautiful bounce, then I don't know what is, right? So we anticipated, you wait for that level to come in. Good job, Scrooge. I like it. You wait for those levels to come in. You wait for the both indexes to tell you the same story. You wait for NVIDIA to start giving you that bounce, give you that NVIDIA bounce there at 120. If it can break and hold above 120 and start to push back up, NVIDIA can drive this market straight back to highs. So I will watch my overnight levels. I will see if they are going to be in an area where this will be a failure, a break, retest, rotate downside more, or are we going to get a full rotation back up? It's just a patience game, wait and see. I want to see if this will flush this low while S&P is pushing up. Lots of things that I'm going to be watching for the confluence, right? This is a really nice break and flush. So bearishness technically to me looks like it's in, but that's a really nice area for a bounce. So it is like last week with Monday coming in. Last week we did the same type of move, except Monday waited until, let's call it, after stream would have been on 11:30, 12 o'clock. It waited till then to start its flush and sell into the close. So today we started and we sold off immediately, straight off the jump. So we will be looking to see if maybe that's going to be the sell-off and then now bounce and kind of rally the rest of the day. If that's going to be what Monday is going to bring for this, or if it's just positioning, just like last week where we positioned ourselves to the top where the liquidity was at 19,760 prior to the non-farms to try and give a bounce on it. But S&P is looking like it wants to make a higher high on the 1 minute. It's not like a great higher high, but it's just an indication that it's trying to push back up while the NQ is still trying to push down. Tilt's still 50-50. My delta has basically flattened. I want to see if we can break the low again and then see if delta will give you some sort of indication of maybe we're going to start to bid back up through that low. So if we can try and break the low, you can see delta is turning green while price is trying to turn red. You're giving yourself a little bit of an indication that it's going. This first band of standard deviation away from the VWAP could rotate you back to VWAP, give you plenty of plenty of opportunity there. That's not a bad idea. Nvidia is still catching a bit of a bounce. If you wanted to risk this, you could. Just maybe on one more flush. I would like a liquidity sweep of that low. Maybe trick people into getting in short through that 41. We do have 5 minutes till the number, so I'm not going to get into a position. Even though this could be an A setup right here, right now, with a number coming out in 5 minutes. Normally an hourly candle, I wait for that 5 minutes to close anyway. With a red folder number, I just want it to be flat. I just want to let it be flat. If it rips up right from here to the bottom tick being my level and rotates all the way to the highs, I can't be mad. It's just me following my rules and then just executing, keeping money in my pocket. It's all right, Scott. I think you're better off being flat until the number comes out, unless you already are in a position. Just manage it, mitigate. If you're short from the highs, then do you. Good on you for that foresight. But like I said, I could have maybe even gone short, according to my rules, through the overnight low based on how far away from the overnight low we were in the S&Ps. Like I was talking about, that's something that I have played in the past. I usually like to play it, let's say if the overnight low is here and the previous day low is down in this level, I will take the short to close the gap from the two levels. That's usually a high probability trade if the S&Ps isn't quite at the overnight low yet. So that's something that I look for as well. If you're, kind of trying to add a little bit more to the strategy, because there are ways to play. These levels come in pretty much every single day, right? They will come into play every single time you trade because markets like to be efficient. They like to go back to levels that are very recent, but also at the same time highly liquid. And these are levels where there was decisions made either the previous session or the overnight session, so they're very fresh in the market, right? So every single day, one of these levels is likely to get tagged, and if it doesn't, then the market didn't go anywhere, so you didn't have any opportunities anyway, right? So having a strategy for a bounce and a fade back to VWAP or a continuation through, you have to understand which market environment you're in and what you're looking for on that particular move, right? This could easily bounce to the tick from 41 quarter all the way up. And like I said, with the number coming out, I'm flat. I would have considered going long here based on the S&Ps and their rejecting of that overnight level, but I would have liked to have gotten a flush of 41 and a quarter for it to be more valid for me. I would usually like to get a flush of whatever my level is, fail a breakdown or breakout, and then I usually risk to the bottom of whatever that little wick is, unless it's way further down. Then I usually just wick just to the bottom of the level, expecting it to never return back to the level, and then just start to trail out from there. And that's how I kind of limit my risks. I might take paper cuts on those, but you can see last week, if you would have gotten in on Friday morning, you really, with your own personal trailing rules, not mine, you would have been easily, up a couple hundred points on decent trailing rules. So it's just all a matter of limiting your risk, catching those big ones when they come, but just taking your base hits as they come, and you'll be just fine. Nvidia rotated right through 120, right up to 120.90. It's approaching. I don't know if this number. So obviously the number is going to come out in a minute and a half here. I'll show you what the dome looks like and how it starts to get very illiquid. It gets very bouncy coming into the number. But I mean, really look at, if you just were irrelevant looking away from the numbers, if you didn't know the number was coming out and you just played this blind, it's a great trade, great opportunity area, right? Where if it doesn't break down pretty much immediately, you have a really good indication that people want to buy this up from this area. You also have your standard deviation, so there's a good amount of risk. I mean, a good amount of reward to your risk on a reversion strategy if that's what you're going to be playing as well, right? So just think of it that way. I'm personally, 1 minute to a number, so there's nothing for me to be looking for right now. I'm just going to pop in a level here so I can see it. That's the overnight low. And that's the previous day low. Just so I have them out here. Get rid of that. This is nice too. You can see how wide the spread is getting here. This is a live data feed. You can, if you can see it, start to understand what the dome looks like. It's just above my head here. Look, that's the bid-ask spread. That's the actual orders sitting on the book. So they're not really very thick. Not a lot of huge size on the book. And here's the number, 0. Look at how wide it's spread out. Very, very wide, very, very scattered. You're not really getting it. Oh, it actually came in at 48.5 as opposed to 48.7. So that's a really good beat for markets getting in. And let's see if we can let this settle down for a second. We may be able to get a long through here. I want to see it hold. It's got to hold. I have to wait to see if it'll close above here, which you probably will, and it'll run right into VWAP. So that long was, if you were able to get in here and be mitigated right into the number, you were able to basically risk free, and then now you're getting into something that has momentum and a number that is technically better than expected. So you could really be looking to rotate fully back to the overnight high, but be patient, trail it out according to your rules. I'm going to buy one here. Risk below there. Probably should have waited a second for this pullback. I'm only buying one contract on these. This is really where I wanted to buy it, right around here. So let's see if it'll get up to VWAP and beyond, or at least into that opening range. Yeah, ISM already came out. Damn. I top ticked it for myself. Get up there. I'm going to risk to this bottom end of that candle. Let's see what happens with that. Still a little thin, a little whippy. Don't like it. I don't like it. But we're going to leave that risk at the previous day low. See what happens. It's probably going to wick me out and then run up. And then I'll wait for a second because the S&P is rejecting VWAP. NVIDIA is rejecting that level. I'm not going to risk more than I'm going to get out of that right here. If it takes me out, yeah, I don't want to be in that. Flatten all. Let it settle for a second. Come back down below the overnight low. Maybe show a failure, and then I'll take for that long above that level. 926 is still the overhead resistance, right? To the tick, 926 basically got tagged there. So that's the key level. Want to wick through the previous day low, overnight low, and then that's when I want to get long. You can see the delta is still pretty strong. Not really making new lows. There we go. That's a better setup. That 26 level. There we go. Now I'm going to get long on that. I should have actually probably waited till it closed, but I'm okay with that entry there. There we go. Come on, bounce for me. Give me that bounce at my level. If we can get up to 26 again, it's going to be a decision point. If it breaks through it, then it should rotate all the way through. We're going to go ahead and be at even. And now we're going to see where it goes. Cover my cost. Cover my cost. See if it'll go this time. Yeah, flat. All right. Now we're just going to wait for a second. Do I wait to see if 26 breaks? Or do I continue to hammer my level until it decides to give me a direction? S&P's wicked right into the opening range and failed it. Russell's still kind of creeping downside, which is interesting to me. Could be that 26 failure. That heaviness did come in right into it, but NVIDIA is now breaking above 121, getting close to 121 to the upside. Just wicked 121. Let's see if it'll hold. If NVIDIA can hold above that 121 level, then this probably continues going on up. But we do have a nice little bit of a lower high there. Price trying to make new highs. Didn't quite get there. Delta trying to make new highs. So price is trying to catch up to Delta here. This first one, I mean, overall, I just should have waited for this pullback, and then I would have never been wrong and down anything. So this level works. Just the execution was a little bit sloppy on it. Wanted to play the break of it before. See what happens with the S&Ps if it rejects VWAP or if it breaks through it. Then the 26 level could be interesting. We could fail the overnight low, sell one in through there. Using the S&P, failing VWAP. And if NVIDIA fails the 120 level again, the 120.90 fails 121, then we should be okay to continue to rotate this down. I do like this to continue down. I don't know if we're going to get that breakdown. It is a nice setup through that level. Building up, building up, building up. Delta's starting to build some. Looking like it wants to break through. Let's see. S&P's is slightly diverged. And Russell's rolling downside. I'm going to stick with this short bias here. These two failed to break back into that level. Held at 26 level really nicely. If it fails this low again, it should give you a little bit of a nice quick move to the downside. NVIDIA is kind of holding up, but if we can get NVIDIA to break down below that 120.90, then this should go too. So we're in that decision area, right? Between that 126 there and the 141. There it goes. Nice pop of 126, 926. Could be the liquidity sweep. 66% long. Good delta push, but failed to hold that level. Interesting. S&P's delta is heavier. Russell's getting heavy as well, still selling off. Russell does have some support coming in, but just kind of cracked it. But a little bit of support on that. If we can't hold above that 26, that could be a liquidity sweep right there to look for the shorts. So I am going to look for this short to break through the overnight low and then see if I can get that to get us back to where we want to go. But if it cracks and holds above 26, then like I said, that could be a good area to have that continuation long. But with S&Ps holding below here, I think we do have a little bit more of a short bias with the first move of the day. But that number came out good. So if you're in long from that 41 level, good on you. That was a really nice bottom tick level call. I just didn't execute around this level properly. I let this trick me into getting long up in this level here instead of waiting for that last little pullback into it and then taking it. But I think the short does come in here with the S&Ps starting to reject that VWAP. NVIDIA looking to roll below 120.90, but holding it. This is the pattern that I like, up over a key level as well. A little rising wedge. Should get a nice heaviness into it. I don't want to get bottom ticked, so I'm a couple ticks away from that lower end. There's the heaviness right at the previous day low. If it cracks that should give you heaviness. There you go. Let's see if it'll play. I mean, if that's just going to stop there, then it is what it is, right? But I'm going to trail this out down to, I mean, I don't think I'll have to go very far. There we go. We're at even now. Now we're going to see if we can get this to rotate even lower. But you watch this S&P, see what happens at 55.21. I'm going to go candle to candle here. So support. I'm going to take my $200 and see where it runs down to. I can only make 700 in this account. It will auto liquidate me if I do get all the way down through, but I don't know if we're going to get through there. So let's see. We're going to go see if it'll go. It's a nice heaviness. I love it. I love it, Jofi. That 26 level, money. 26 was money. I like this short. It's short. You see the S&P broke through its level, so really you're safe to hold all the way down through. Let's see what happens if it retests this low. We should be good. I only took one contract here, so I'm trailing a little tight because I am trying to pass this combine or whatever when it gets to that point. We're pretty much right there right now with that small little loss that we took on that first chop there. I'm going to go ahead and trail right up into here. I'll take $700 on that. Nice little golf clap. It could keep going lower. This was just me trailing out my win. Don't get it twisted. This should go all the way down and through here with the S&Ps cracking it. I will just take that and get out. But I like the way it's still going down. You should be able to be just fine, just safe in there. I am, like I said, I'm just trying to pass this two other combines. But hey, Scrooge, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay to miss it. But when you start to get into the key levels and you start to see things happening, don't walk away. Get that water. Have yourself everything right here ready to go when you're looking to execute around time frames. For me, if you can get up and walk away at 5 minutes to the hour every hour, you probably save yourself a lot of headaches as well. I could have passed on that move, whatever. I got myself out. The levels are perfect. Use the levels to your advantage. Hopefully you guys are still in this short. I think I like it until this 55.11 comes in, but that was a beautiful, beautiful level. Listen, every day it's just a new day to get good opportunities and execute according to your plan, right? I made a slight... I just drag it with me. As I see things go, I just trail myself out. How I usually do it, if you've been here for any period of time where I start to get these heavy, heavy shorts, I usually get to, if you go, let's see, later, Jovi, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here. Always keep crushing it, brother. Keep crushing it. I could show you real quick, Scrooge, like with let's go with this thing here. Oh, you can't do it with that. Let's go with trend line. Let's say, so my entry was here. This blue line. This was my entry. With the top step X, you have a stop and a profit. If you drag the actual stop line, it should allow you to drag it down, release it, and then just be wherever you want it to be. Drag it down, release it. I should have waited for this candle to close. That's on me. I should have been able to been up well over 1,000 on this move. That trade right there, one contract, $1,000 from overnight low to that. And this was talking about the failure of that level is really easy to implement into your strategy as well. So we're going to watch the 760 level as that next low level. Let me just put that on there before I show you any more. I don't know why. I mean, if it doesn't work for you, I would contact Top Step support and let them know, because that feature is very important for me, because I like to trail fast moves. I trail fast moves fast. And that's what I always say. Fast move, fast trail, right? If this is going to break down, be heavy, I'm going to take my profit, take my profit, take my profit, take my profit, and I get wicked out, I get wicked out. So if you set your, let's say you entered and you have no take profit, no, I don't have a practice count, so I can't show you on this. Let's go with 100K, and we'll do it with, I have to make sure I'm able to profit on the trade. Now, I'll just leave it here for now. So let's say this is your entry, right? This blue line here is your entry. You don't have anything, stop or take profit. Take that line and drag it up from the entry, and that'll give you a stop loss, and then let it go. Can you do that at least? You're on Top Step X, right? I think you might have to, Scott. It might have to be that way. So if you can get that, and then you have that stop that you pulled off, then now you can drag it down. Does it at least get you to break even? Or does it stop you at break even? Or you can pull that stop loss and then move it down? You have to pull the actual stop, because if you pull the actual entry, it's going to just give you a take profit. So if you pull it in your direction, it's going to give you a take profit. If you pull it away, it's going to give you your stop loss. And then if this one's your stop loss, you can drag it. Let's call it red. If this is your stop loss, you can drag it down, release, and it'll reset. Drag it down, release, it'll reset, and then you'll be able to kind of just continue down until you get stopped out. Let me know if that helps you. If not, when I get into my next position, I'll show you how to do it. This account here is at 836, and we need 100 and change left. This one is at 861. Same deal, less than $200 away from a pass. And I'm not looking to just hammer into anything. I'm gonna wait. This is a nice little area for a bounce. It looks like a little sweep of liquidity of that level at that 841, and then bounce right there. Yeah. So no matter what, right? I would always have that. So realistically, this is what I do every single time, right? If you go to settings and you go to risk settings, so you have copy trading and risk settings, go right here and go position risk, profit brackets, and just set it to, if you were to enter the trade right this second and have it just immediately either go against you or immediately in the other direction, it'll pop up, right? So whatever that stop loss is, you can drag that. That'll automatically populate. And then when you have that set, right, once you enter, those should populate. And then you take your stop loss and you just drag it around where you actually want it to be, right? So if it were to immediately go my wrong way, I'll be lost $300. If it was going to do the opposite, look at that beautiful reversal off that level, man. Levels are absolutely money. Yes, and I love the way it sweeps the levels. The sweep of the level is just confirmation that's going to go the other way. Delta, very nice, strong delta. Now we're getting to the overnight low again. Oh, retesting that level. It's very clean movements. Russell's just absolutely heavy. Nvidia right back up over 121. This is, to me, I mean, if we weren't like on top of EWAP, then it's a good entry criteria here. Eventually, if you can get a setup, maybe another pullback and then a break, you can get yourself a nice cheap long up into that opening range. I would be cautious around the base of that opening range low. But I do like that. Look at the NVIDIA price action here. NVIDIA's price action is a nice little sweep of lows, a really good level there. Came down, cleaned up all of the pre-market inventory, cleaned up some of these other days, and then just higher low, now a higher high, starting to give you that turnaround in NVIDIA. Once it starts to take off, really could take this NQ to ridiculous levels, right? So just note that. This is that 926 area, very liquid spot. Could fail it again. S&P is failing that level. I'm looking for a cheap $200 quick little banger, but you know, that's just me looking to pass two more combines. If I don't get it today, I don't get it today. I'm not looking to get into a B, C, you know, even an A minus setup. I'm not looking to get into any of that. I'm looking to make sure I execute according to my plan. I'm not trading my P&L per se, even though I do need to trade my P&L because I need to get that to two more funded XFAs. But I'm not so mad about, you know, a $500 day after being down on a couple just like, right? This one I entered way too high. Could have been up a little bit on this with the way it's set up. If I waited for the retest, could have took it up to 26. Then I would have been a little bit better off. I probably would have passed on this dump because I definitely could see this coming. We talked about it. That's why we executed it. That's the pattern I love to see. If you can find this, find that level. Find this setup here at your levels. If it's at your levels, it's going to give you an impulsive move to the next level down. Almost, it's a very, very high probability setup. Oh, very good. I'm glad that you take it seriously, Scrooge, in the way that a lot of people don't, right? Some people buy it, don't know anything about futures, and then just start hammering into trades. And it's not that futures is much different than, say, Forex or even regular stock trading. Trading is trading across the board. But each asset class has its own nuance, even between the two indexes, right? We have our own nuance between the NQ and the S&P. S&P is a lot cleaner. It's a lot more respectful of levels. It's not going to whip you in and out. It's also not going to give you the same cool, powerful moves that you do get and the explosiveness that you get in the NQ. And the NQ is, I mean, just understanding if you hop from something else and go right into NASDAQ, you're going to have a really hard time in the very beginning. It's going to manipulate you until you understand. I mean, it still manipulates everybody, but it's going to do it really good. It's going to do a really good job of it if you don't know what you're doing, right? You're going to be like, oh, I have a level here, and it's going to run 20 points below your level like it did here and then just snap back, right? A 20-point zone seems ridiculous, but it's kind of what it is. So, Scrooge, I applaud you for going in, doing it the right way, practicing, understanding the setup. Don't get stuck in that practice environment. I know a lot of people do that as well. So, some people will get in and just be afraid forever and never get into a live account or never get into an account where they're actually trading to try and make money or pass a combine or whatever they're trying to do. So do that time period of the learning curve. Top Step X is a different platform than Quant Tower, than, Trade of 8 and all these things. So get used to the platform, get used to what you're looking at, try and develop some sort of strategy. And then as you start to feel comfortable, right, go for it. I think even if you want, trade micros. It's cool to trade the minis, but if you're on a 50K account and you don't understand your risk or what you're doing as far as, leveraging in. You've never passed the combine before. Some of what I do in the combine is slightly different. Nothing of the last 2 weeks. Everything I do in the last 2 weeks has been exactly the same as I would do in my XFAs. But sometimes you'll see me load on a 5-lot in a combine on a 100K account or something, just to kind of get past it. Because I've passed these things over and over and over again, right? Like the passing part, I'm past. I understand what it takes to pass it. It's just a matter of now staying in the funded accounts longer term, building up as much funding as I possibly can. So I do risk it a little bit more, some of these combines. For somebody like you, I would deleverage. I would go to the micros. I would trade MNQ. If you just started your challenge today, instead of trading NASDAQ full mini contracts, trade 5 micros or maybe 2 micros. The power of the 2 micros, you'll start to really realize you can make a lot of money in micros, and then you can start to add and size up as you go, right? Once I'm fully funded to the 5 XFAs that I want to get to, then really you could trade micro. I could trade 5 micros a day, and you could pull $200, letting this thing breathe out a bit, because the market's going to whip you around, and very likely it's not going to be directional. It's going to be a lot of times it's going to be range bound. So if you're going to be able to do that, start in those micros, build yourself up to the full contracts. If you really feel like it, you don't ever have to switch to a full contract. The micros are 1/10 of the full contract. So if it's $5 a tick, you're getting 50 cents per tick in a micro. And then you can scale more. And Top Step recently changed its rules. A lot of the other companies were allowing you full 10 contracts per mini. Now finally you're allowed to have your 10 contracts per mini, so you're able to throw on a full lot size eventually if you wanted to scale into something, into a zone or whatever. That I would definitely recommend doing that with the micro, especially early on in your combine, especially if you're learning a strategy too. It puts your skin in the game. It gives you a little wiggle room. It also lets you manage your risk way better according to your account size. If you got a 50K combine, $2,000 a drawdown is not a lot for a mini. My strategy is very precise, I'm very picky with it. You could see when I do it correctly, it works. When I decide to go off the rails, you have seen it as well, and that's where it is. It is a little bit better. The fees are a little higher, technically, I guess, if you were to do a full 10 contracts as opposed to a mini. But if you're just doing 1 or 2 micros, your fees are still going to be minimal. I'd say that just to give you the, because you're still trying to find that consistency, it's always best to trade a little smaller. You don't want to reset this account, right? If you pay your monthly fees, there is a strategy to this. So I don't want to, get in your head at all with what you could do. With these, once you've passed one, then you start to get into those, I wouldn't call them advanced strategy. It's basically just over leveraging and getting yourself into a point where your balance is to a point where you can make a decision whether you're going to either burn the account before the rebill or, by just YOLOing in, trying to get funded. But that just builds really bad habits. And I don't want to bring that into your thought process yet. If at some point you feel like, all right, I've passed a bunch of these, now I'm in, and what should I do with some of these other ones? Like on the YouTube, my buddy Evan comes in here and there, and he's been texting me on the side about how he's just been passing combines and stacking them and doing a really good job with it. But some of those he's probably over leveraging a little bit than but he should be, when he gets into all his XFAs, scale back down, get back into his good strategy of a couple $100 a day, not over leveraging, not throwing on 5 lots, on a 50K, just taking your time with it and just letting the copier do its thing. So, that's kind of where we're at with that. But overall, Scrooge, I think you're doing a great job as far as just asking the right questions. I know I see you in Deck's chat room here and there, asking really good questions, trying to come up with strategies, trying to build into what your career could be in this. And it's just going to take time to kind of really fall into what works for you. You know, there's 1,000 ways, millions of ways to skin a cat in this game. So the more you stop comparing yourself to other traders, other, you know, people doing things, and start to just pick little pieces for yourself. You know, I like what this guy does, I'm going to keep that. I like what this guy does, I'm going to keep that. I like what I hate what Policing Pips does with this, with his trail rules. I hate it. I'm going to let my shit run. I'm going to let him go to take profit every time. That's cool. Do what you want to do, what's going to make you profitable, what's going to work for your psychology, right? Because that's really what it's going to come down to. I think this 26 level may fail, start to rotate down. We might start to get rotations here. I don't have it as an A+ setup, so I'm not going to take it, but let's see. The wife's going to make an espresso. There's that real break. So like I said, if you could find this setup here, this one right here, this one right here, around your key levels, maybe start developing that as your strategy, right? Start seeing where maybe you got to wait for this to close, but you're starting to see that confluence here, breaking below the overnight low, breaking below the 26 level. NVIDIA's failing 122 at double topped at 122.30 or 122.29 is the level that I've had there. So you see NVIDIA made that nice turn. Now double topping here. Could rotate back down to here and continue upside for it to be a bullish still. So that could be a failed breakdown. I don't enter around VWAP. I like this, though, as an area of interest for you to, you know, maybe figure out if this does work, or if it doesn't, you know, that's the second time it's trying to break through here. Could give it. If it doesn't give it up, then maybe it's grabbing that liquidity to continue to rotate up. Just kind of like think through these things while they're happening. NVIDIA is now creeping back up to that 122.29 level. I know Scott mentioned that you want to have more screens, and I don't have enough because I'm streaming. I like having two screens. I have one really big, not really big. It's a decent size, you know, one of those curved ones, not the giant ones. I don't know how many inches this one is, like 40 something or whatever. I like having the second. I have the second one off to my left. I have the larger one here that when I switch around that screen, that's all one screen. So I have it set up where the stream, I can bounce it around, and, you know, this is the main screen. This is one part of the screen. That's top right of my screen. That's the bottom right of my screen. And this is the rest of the screen. So that's all one screen. I'm able to kind of manage and watch. If I were not streaming, I'd have my other screen over here, which I do have. But I'm managing like chats. I'm managing the YouTube chat and the Tradecaster chat, and trying to kind of do both of those at the same time. And then I flip back and forth just to make sure I don't always have my OBS popped up because it blocks out some of the chats. So I kind of use this. Maybe I'll just do it on the side there, and I'll put the YouTube Studio there so I can at least see the chats on both, which will help. That's good. I kind of play with my setup quite a bit. I just want to make sure which screen I'm on correctly and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I don't really have a perfect setup. I would like one more monitor. I do eventually want to throw up like a TV up over my screens, which would be nice. That would be helpful for me to throw on just my streaming stuff up top, so I could just look up for some of the streaming stuff. Maybe have my news feeds and stuff. Sometimes I like to watch Bloomberg TV online. I have Top Step TV in the background, so anytime they release any sort of reset, fire drill, any information, because this is who I trade with, and a lot of you are starting to trade with them, I want to provide you the opportunities without you having to watch and listen to some of the stuff that they're doing. So I keep it on in the background. They trade live. They do their thing, but they talk a lot about the platforms. They talk a lot about, people are reporting this down. They're reporting that down. Like, oh, there's a news release or something comes out, them and Trader TV Live. I really like to watch Trader TV Live as well, but with being on Top Step, I like to hear what they have to say about the platforms and stuff. It's hard to not walk away with $511 on the day in less than an hour. If I would have just waited for that one trade there, that would have been it. I would have passed both of these, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's all good. Yeah, that trade netted a 765, one contract, fast move, fast trail. Could have just went level to level. I got ticked out right here at 860. So right there at 860, got ticked out. Usually got to wait for that one more candle. But once I started to get into that consolidated area, I wanted to trail out a little faster. And sure, I could have got a little bit more out of it, but I wouldn't be upset with that kind of trade in a funded account. And there you go again. Another breakdown of a wedge type pattern at a key level. 926 failing again. But, it's from 26 down to 06. That's a 20-point little scalp that you could grab pretty much routinely. And then you start to, trail. That's just up to you on how you work it. Tilt's 55% long. I'm trying to get this to be a nice little view for you here. It looks okay there. If anybody's got any questions, comments, concerns, anything that they're looking at, want me to look at, I'm going to kind of fade into GameStop is at $23. Chewy is faded off into $25. People finding out whatever Keith, I think they're fading everything that Keith is doing, the Roaring Kitty. AMC is pushing on up $5. Nvidia right at 122.25. Microsoft pumping today. You want to see gold futures? Let's see what gold futures looks like. Let's analyze gold for you for a minute. So first things first, gold technically is inversely correlated, Charlie, to the equities, right? In theory, if the equities markets are pushing to the upside, you would anticipate the gold contracts to start to move the opposite direction, right? In the grand scheme of things, gold is a safe haven, and like gold, metals, stuff like that are going to be safe havens when in times of fear, and then also as the stock markets are going to bring you more return. People are going to start to push into the stock market and into equities to rally market, to make more money in movements to the upside. And then when the money flows out of gold, out of safe havens, if you trade in the futures, in the Forex world, you'll understand that, like I said, like the dollar and the gold indexes are kind of inversely correlated, because if the dollar is giving you more return, it's a safe return. Then money flows out of the safe haven of gold, right? Stuff like that. But let's go into it a little. I'm going to get off of the 1 minute because I don't have a big, broad view of what the gold has been doing. I have not looked at gold for a while, but you can see some of these older levels that I've drawn up seem to be respected pretty well. I was trying just to look into some stuff in the past and getting into it. So realistically, we rolled into this high here. It kind of gave you a little bit of a false hope breakout here in the late end of May. Started to rotate downside, came back up, retested the breakdown point, and then started to fade again, coming right into a key area of support. If I had to guess, currently we're rotating from this high at 23.35 down to 23.04. If 23.04 gives up, you have down to 22.8550. 22.8550 right here is like that ultimate downside, where this could still wick in, grab some support, and rotate back up. However, if the S&P and NQ and all these equities continue to rally, I would anticipate a breakdown of that level and a rotation back to 2200 even would be a nice round number for gold to kind of end up. So this is a 4-hour chart, right? So you're looking at the 4-hour, grabbing all that liquidity on the overhead here at 2340.20, and now starting to push back down. So anything that starts to flush this, you get into a lower time frame, maybe a 30-minute. 30-minute looks like we're in an area of liquidity here. But you can see this, actually I'll use this down arrow here, down arrow here. Right? All of these are rejection areas of that zone. So I would look to see if this level here will break. And then I would rotate that, you know, in a short time frame trade. If you were looking for some sort of like, I don't know, just a range bound type move, risking, depending on how your risk tolerance, right, up above that 2340 or even above this kind of support box here, depending on how short of a time frame you want to get into, Charlie. That 5-minute there, look for a breakdown of this level and then rotate it. You know, you're going to get some interest here. There may be some chop right there. And then you're going to look to see what kind of profits you could take down there. So in theory, if I were to be short gold, I would either wait for a retest of this level up here, risking to the high, try and rotate it down to this level here. I don't really have a great relationship with gold. Like I said, I haven't traded it. You could either do that, wait for the retest, you know, see if this will give you a little break, retest, come up into here and short that, right? So that would be number one. Scenario number one would be that, right? Where's that paintbrush? Scenario one, you push up into here, then you come back down, probably chop some here, and then rotate into that target. Scenario two, I would just say would be a straight breakdown of this. Probably do the same thing, chop here, maybe come back into here, and then rotate back down. So that's scenario, I would say scenario one is this, scenario two is here. Scenario three would be if it just continues up and then uses this as a support and then rotates and breaks through after the fact there. So that's my gold analysis, and it would come up into that. Does that make any sense, Charlie, as far as the GC futures? Oh, it's espresso time. Dun, 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 dun. Espresso time. Short squeeze espresso. So now you see NQ giving up that overnight level again. Could have looked to short that, but I didn't quite get there in time. I was analyzing Charlie's gold idea. Oh, let me get rid of these lines because they're messy. So yeah, that's the gold idea. And then really, I think gold down to 2200 longer term, even though in Top Step and a lot of these prop firms, you're not swing trading. But if you're a swing trader and you're looking for a move, that's a really good risk to reward there based on what you're looking at. Even if you wanted to front run it early with like maybe they have micro golds, you can look to get that involved, right? Charlie, I mean, Scrooge, at least you're recognizing what you're doing as far as that analysis that you just said. Yes, you went from up 140 down to 200. Don't know why you took those trades. So at least you're recognizing that you don't know why you took them. That's just part of the game that you could start to change. Just that's what I was saying earlier today where you said, you know, you saw how I work, how I operate. I don't even touch it if it's not close to my levels, if it's not into my A+ strategies. Yeah, so my brain does that all day, right? If you're sitting here looking at charts, it's going to... So yeah, if you're looking at charts, you're going to find an opportunity every single candle. Here's the deal, right? Let's say you've developed your A+ strategy and you know that opportunity doesn't seem like it's going to present itself in the time frame that you're going to be at the computer. Just go away. There's no reason to watch the chart. I think chart time is important for somebody newer. I think it's important if you're really looking to. All right, good. Charlie's commenting on both. I like it. I like the interaction on both. I need the YouTube algorithm to like me. So if you are on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff that YouTube likes. But Scrooge, back to you. I think you have a good understanding, just kind of based on our limited conversation over the past, few months, of you have an understanding of what price does, why it does it. You're developing a relationship with a certain, index or whatever. If you feel like I said, you can scale down, go into those micros, those profit swings aren't going to be as big, and you'll be able to learn a little bit of the more dynamics. If you want to sit here and just do it all day, every day, right? Swing it, but you can lose it all in micros too. I'm telling you, and micros are very easy to lose a lot. Stick to those 1s and 2s. Find your A's, your A plus strategy. Write it down. If you can't write it down, I mean, I haven't wrote mine down per se. I have because I was trying to get coding my indicator for TradingView. So I've wrote it down for that purpose. But realistically, if you can't explain it to somebody the way I'm able to explain my strategy to you, then you need to just focus it down a little more, and then go from there. As far as I'm actually going to just leave this here because I don't look at gold very frequently. I want to see if that'll play out at all. So I'm just going to go back to S&Ps though, so I can talk to you guys. Sorry for bouncing around, Scrooge. But it's just very, trading is difficult. It's not easy. Everybody makes it seem very easy. So really, I mean, it is very consistent. Deck is super, super experienced. He's been doing this for a really long time, and he makes it look way easier than it actually is. But it's that simple. It's just a matter of getting out of your own head and getting out of your own way. He doesn't get in his own way, right? He understands that he can take the profits that he has and he gets them, and he's able to walk away comfortable knowing and understanding that that's what he was going to get out of the day. He, even on Friday, he took that loss or whatever he took. I think he took a couple $100 or whatever. He walked away down a small amount, but the rest of the week he's up $8,000 or something like that, because he's able to know that his winners are going to come out on top over his losers, because he has an A+ strategy that works for him, and he's just confident in the ability to work his strategy. And he knows when he deviates from it, when he goes over to the options world, when he goes into other things and tries to dabble in other stuff, it's not who he is. So he goes right back to what works for him and gets himself back on track. And, it's always nice to try new things, options, all these things. Stick to what works for you. Always be adapting, always be trying new things, trying to kind of stay ahead of the curve, but don't go away from what works just because it looks cool or whatever, right? Or, you don't understand it or whatever. I think long-term, Scrooge, you have the right mindset. You have everything that seems to be in place to where you want to get yourself from A to B. Losing is going to happen, right? Up 140, down 200, especially if you're trading a full mini. That's not a huge profit swing for a full mini, right? I went here from down to 230, 240, 250 or whatever it was to up 511 on one trade, right? So the swings in the full mini could be very, very big, very, very fast. These ticks move very quickly. If you want to slow yourself down some, switch over to the S&Ps. It's the same thing. It's driven by a lot of the same factors. It's just a broader index and a lot more liquid, so it's not going to move as whippy and as a little bit unpredictable as the NQ. So like I said, I watch both. So if you ever have questions on either or, don't be afraid to ask, but start to just, simplify what you're doing and get yourself to a point where you say, okay, I see A+, I'll take A+. Currently, Scott, NQ and NVIDIA are the most correlated. I'm fairly certain that NVIDIA has become the number one weighted name in the index, just based on market cap. Everything's driven by AI right now. When money flows out of AI and into something else, then we may start to uncorrelate with NVIDIA. Like I said, early in the year, Microsoft was leading the way. I was seeing a lot more correlation between Microsoft and the NQ than I was with Nvidia, but slowly but surely, Nvidia just kept getting bid up, and with the market cap that it has, as far as the size of the company, it is now heavier weighted than all these other names. And then in the past, Apple was the driver, right? So Apple would be the one that would be driving the NQ up and down and up and down. But realistically, Scott, it's the Mag 7 as a whole and whatever the rest of the 100 names are of the NASDAQ that will drive that NASDAQ market, right? So some days the NQ and NVIDIA are directly correlated. You'll see their market, moving exactly the same. Some days they're disconnected. Some days it's Google or Amazon or Meta if there's earnings on some of those names, but they'll go right back to the heaviest weighted, right? The heaviest weighted are the Mag 7. It's 30-something% of the entire index. So these are certain things that lock yourself out. I like that, dude. Lock yourself out. If you don't have anything doing, if you're not going to look to get any more trades, don't want to FOMO in, hit that lockout button. It's the best thing. It'll help you out because it'll almost as soon as you hit that lockout button, you get like that deep breath and you're like, you can get the weight off your shoulders. Win, lose, draw. You know that you don't have to click any more buttons. You don't have the opportunity to click any more buttons, so there's no reason to get into it, right? So I do like this level. I want to see what happens, but it could just chop us up here, especially with the S&Ps. NVDA still playing around with that 122.30 level. Have the water ready. I like it. That's a good start. Cheers. See you tomorrow morning, 8:30. I'll be here. Nice little bounce. NVIDIA once again trying to break up. If it can get above this level here at 122.50-ish, I could expect it to run into that 123. And then if it can continue on, we got to see if it breaks high a day at 123.76. Well, 123.78. But it's kind of fizzling out. And kind of what I mentioned in my write-up, I didn't go. I got home on a little later yesterday. My son woke up. I helped him put him back to bed and all that stuff. So my write-up got a little later. I didn't release it until after midnight. And then I did this the first half I was done with. The second half I was in the middle of it. And I accidentally hit the back button on my mouse. And it deleted half of what I wrote. So I had to rewrite it again. So I got a little lazy on it. I'm not going to lie. The only thing I didn't include is my equities portion of the Mag 7 names that I'm really going to be interested into what they're doing. But I already know what I'm looking at and what I'm looking for in those. So if you're missing that part of the write-up and you want more of it, just let me know. I'll make sure I include those Mag 7 names in there every week. This week is, like I said, most of what I was saying is it's going to be a holiday shortened week. Your opportunities are going to be limited to Monday and Tuesday for full liquidity, full trading, good movements, right? Clean move here, clean move here. We got very clean trading opportunities today around our levels, around other levels, good liquidity, volumes there. You had a data release at 9, things that are going to move the markets. Tomorrow you have Jerome Powell speaking right around 9, depending on when he actually gets to the market. It's 8:30. So, leading into market open, there's probably going to be algo pumps and dumps. And most of the time, markets stay kind of stagnant for when he starts to speak, right? So right at the market open, for him to speak right at market open, I would anticipate price to kind of stay flat, stay kind of if he's still talking into that JOLTS number, I would expect algos to pop that JOLTS number. I think it'll just do it anyway, but with him speaking, it'll kind of also, exaggerate and then come right back to where it was. And then whatever he says, when he's done speaking, then that's when you'll start to get cleaner moves leading into the holiday of Wednesday. Wednesday, you're going to get numbers and data release information. You'll get algo spikes, but you're going to have less people in the market because it's a half day. It's just not going to be really worth the risk for me personally. I think it. Scott, you like it? You don't like it? What do you think? Should I add anything for you? You want me to do anything differently as far as the write up is concerned? I know a decent amount of people read it because I see it, but just trying to get as much feedback as possible so I can go ahead and make it the best it can be for everybody. Oh, there's a profits tab here. So I'm willing to risk, half of this to make 200. No, it's good. I want to appeal to people of all levels. I really want to be able to, if you don't understand something, maybe I'll go like every week. I'll do some sort of like little piece of my strategy or a piece of, education. I think that does a good job of just kind of laying out the week and then just like as a broad whole without a lot of like, I think this will happen exactly and this, because nothing ever happens exactly, right? So I try to keep my write up broad. I try to keep it just in a position where I can make good decisions going through the week and understand, like I lay it out in my brain, right? As I'm typing it, I'm working the week out in my head before I get there. So when I get to Monday morning, when I get to Wednesday and I already have prepared myself to understand what the market could probably do on those days, right? Yeah, that's true. But like I said, it's just kind of like it lays me out a nice game plan. It gives me the good, major points that I should be looking for. There's always going to be outlier events. There's always going to be news releases. There's going to be somebody dropping bombs on people at some point randomly. Who knows what kind of riots are going to happen. It's an election year. It's all those things that are going to be manipulated coming into each and every week. But as long as you can prepare yourself for the majority of what you possibly could see, barring outliers, and then just capitalize on the outliers if you do have that chance, right? If the market's going to crack and break, I want to try and figure out a way to get into it and capitalize along with everybody else that's trying to get in. So I don't think we're going to get into an environment where we're going to get those limit up, limit down stuff as far as volatility is concerned. So I won't go into any of that. If anybody doesn't know a little bit about my history, if you're on here and you're not on here frequently, started in future. I started in Forex, FX stuff. That's why I'm policing pips, not ticks. I got into the whole world of it. I was trying to just do something that wasn't death scrolling Instagram and Facebook while I was at work. Found that world, learned a lot. Move on to futures, equities. I was in top T3, which is a equities prop firm. I got my licenses. I passed my SIE, my Series 57. So I technically have my Series 57 until October, unless I sign back on with an equities firm. I need to think on that if I want to keep that license active. I think the SIE doesn't expire, but the Series 57 does. I would like to possibly get my Series 3, which is the futures version of that. Just kind of keeping up with the education part of it and understanding some of the dynamics of really a lot of what that is regulation and understanding what regulation does to some of the trading stuff. And then it just gives you a nice little base of kind of like what you're doing instead of just doing it. You get a little bit of a better understanding of it. So that's kind of why I type up what I do. It just kind of educates myself on a week-to-week basis and just keeps me in a good routine. And routines are what makes you successful, right? It's not the exciting stuff. It's not clicking the buttons all the time. It's not over trading. It's not over leveraging. It's not gambling. It's just like any sport. If you are going to go into a game unprepared or you haven't played in a while and you expect to be the best you could be, you're not going to be doing great, right? I always relate back to baseball because that's what I did for my entire life. If you're going to come into a game and you have no idea what a pitcher throws and he's some sort of superstar and he's throwing 100 and he's got a slider and a changeup and he's throwing splitters at you, you're going to have zero chance of success if you go into that game with no preparation, even before the at-bat. If you just go, all right, close my eyes, I'm going up to that at-bat, you're going to get diced up pretty quickly. I mean, you might get lucky and do what you got to do if you're a good hitter, but at the end of the day, long term, the preparation of what the batters are doing pre-game, leading into it, week in, week out, day in, day out, taking swings and perfecting their swing. It's the same thing here. You have to just stick to your routines, do what's good for your, mental capacity here. You have to prepare. You have to do what's right. You have to understand, and you have to be consistent week in and week out. And right now, I think we're doing a really good job of just sticking to our plan, understanding what markets are doing, and just reacting based on our levels, based on our strategy, and just working this the right way. So, like I mentioned, I'm about just shy of $200 away from passing these. I could just get into this short here and then be done with it, but I'm not looking to just hammer in right this second. I do like it. Just purely like range bound here. Not looking for a huge move, right? 20 points. Oh, I may have emergency. You missed the two good trades today. Both times you were hovering over the button and didn't pull the trigger. You're up 194 across 3 accounts because of slippage. Feels like you missed out. So the feeling of missing out, that is exactly FOMO. I talk about it all the time. Like even like last Friday, right? Yeah, I caught 300 and change, and I'm happy with it because I understand what my trading strategy provides me. If you could understand what your strategy is and you execute it every time that you are there, then you're going to have no issues with whatever you make or don't make, right? Your feeling of FOMO currently is because you haven't been doing it long enough again, right? Getting back into it, trying to develop a new strategy or whatever, understanding why you could have got into this level here, why you could have got in here, what made us wait until all the way until this happened for this dump to happen, right? Same thing here. How could we have limited our risk on it and then, entered into it? These are all things you have to think about, but being up at all is great, right? You just got to be understanding that there's always going to be stuff that you left on the table. This market moves up and down all day, 23 hours a day, 5 days a week, 5.5 days a week, right? So you have to understand that you're always going to leave money on the table. There's always going to be more. Just try not to trade off the FOMO. Try it happened to Ray last week. He was up, small. He missed the big move. He was not happy with what he did as far as managing his trade. And then I talked to him at, later on in the day, 1 o'clock, and he's down and burning accounts, right? Because he felt like he could have made more, felt like he should have entered here, felt like this and that, instead of just executing a strategy and then just moving on to the next trade. It has to be that way. Otherwise, you're never going to get over the FOMO. So if you can get rid of that as soon as you can, Scott, it's never going to go away totally, right? You're always going to feel that. But you can't let your emotions drive your trades. You have to let your trades kind of dictate everything when it goes for moving forward. Oh, yeah. Listen to that money talk. Love it, Deck. Love it. We are sitting here up a nice little even 511.60, if that's even to you. Disappointed because you were right, but it was being scared money. Like I said, I think it's the only reason you're disappointed is because you didn't execute to something that you weren't sure about executing. So it wasn't your A plus strategy, or it is your A plus strategy and you just don't know it yet, right? All you need to do is get to a point where I know that this is what I want to do when this happens. You have to become a mechanical brain of saying, if this happens, then I will do this regardless of outcome, because I know over the course of 100 times I do this, I'm right 70 out of 100 times. That's the only way you can do this long term without emotion, right? You're always going to feel it. You feel it. It sucks, right? Losing money sucks, whether you're a millionaire or you're somebody like us where we're just kind of still getting started, still kind of grinding our way through some of the learning pains and whatever. I think realistically, you're always going to feel that loss no matter what, or the fear. You're going to look at a chart. You're not going to be on the chart. You're going to be like Scrooge and you're going to be going to get water, and an opportunity happened and it was gone before you could even sit down and click a button. Those things are going to happen. You're always going to feel like, man, that's a really good move. I should have been here to execute it, but I did this, this, and this. And that should be the end of it. You got to just cut it. That's it. Be done. I'm not, now I'm going to look for, okay, let's go even deeper into that. You say, this is the level that you liked before. You missed this trade right here. You had another attempt at it right here. Now you know that this level here, this 41.25 level, is pretty reactive. What's going to happen if price gets here next time? When this price creeps down into here, what are you looking for when it gets here that's going to make you convinced to click the button to either go long or short? Now that it's the third touch, is it more likely that it's going to break down and continue down to 760? Possibly. Or are we in a range bound day and it's just going to bounce off of here and rotate up? The only way you're going to know this is if you test it, back test it, forward test it, execute on it. If you have to execute small, go into a micro, trade one micro on the bounce, 741. Play it. That's the only way you can do it, right? I have a lot of reasons why I do and do not get into trades, and I can only verbalize so many of them as I'm streaming, right? I'm not a signal service like a lot of people want when they first start. I think that's a detriment to most traders, as they rely on other people to tell them, I'm going to get in here, you should get in here too. I think what you need to, I try my best. Let's say I want to provide you levels. I'll give you a good level. This is where price does something. I don't know what it's going to do, but price likes to do things at this level. It likes to get drawn to this level. Maybe we're going to go and rotate down from the overnight low down to that 41 level again. When it hits 41, it likes to bounce. Will it give a full bounce and a rotation, or is it going to be a dead cat bounce and a rotate down through and a flush? Who knows? We don't know. It's got to happen, right? But what am I looking at when I get to that level? I'm looking at that level. I'm looking at price action. I'm looking at the DOM. I'm looking to see what kind of orders are getting filled, what kind of tilt we have here. If we're heavy short at a key level, we're maybe ready to give a bounce. If there's big size sitting just below an order or just above an order level, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the equities. I'm looking at NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple. I'm looking at cumulative delta. I'm looking to see if buyers or sellers are more aggressive. I am looking at the volume profile here on the right-hand side. I'm seeing if there's a volume node or if there's an area where there's very low volume and if it's going to push and press through a level or if it's going to hold and be support, right? If you can, I'm looking at the Russell, I'm looking at the S&P, I'm looking at the Dow at times. So I have a lot of information that I am looking at and that do drive my decisions. When I can verbalize most of it, I try my best to give you guys the best possible reasoning behind what I'm doing and where I'm looking at. It's basically, if you took it as just naked chart patterns and stuff, yeah, it all makes sense. You can do it that way as well. It's just, for me, I look for confluences. I look for things to give me a reason to click the button, right? And if I don't get all those reasons, then I won't click it. I won't do it, right? I want to be as disciplined as possible, looking for why I enter, right? Nothing's telling me to do anything here. we're at my levels, right? Previous day low, previous day and overnight low. We're accumulating a lot of orders here. It seems like it's getting heavy. We are below VWAP. We're below the opening range. S&P's is sitting on support. So it's at a bounce or break point. If S&P's can break and get below 55.11 and hold, then maybe we start to rotate this down as well because of all that order accumulation. We've been in a downtrend the whole day, technically, making this was a liquidity sweep, though. That kind of makes you think that we're possibly going to go higher. In the long term, we are in a, I don't know, we're kind of like in a large range ever since we opened up on this contract. So, I mean, but we're in the middle of zones here that I'm not really ready to start hammering into. I have a very flat delta. Delta's doing a little bit of nothing. Tilt's on the very bottom. You can click, I think you can click this plus button right here. I don't know if you could see. Let me see if you could see what I'm doing. You really can't see behind my screen. Let me push this up. Can you see this now, Scott? It's on the bottom. You just click that plus, add component, and you can add whatever you want. You just drag it into the bottom. S&P is 73% long. Which tells me that, so what Tilt does, it gives you an indication of what retail, what all of their, combine people are, and a lot of them are wrong. A lot of time you're fading the majority in this game. So if you start to see super heavy tilt in one direction, there's a good chance that the other direction may start to come in or may continue a little longer. Also look for average price. Their average price of 55.16 from the long, they're all out of the money currently, right? So they're trying to get long through this breakout. Sometimes they're right. Most of the time they're wrong. Fading the majority is a good idea sometimes, which could give me an indication to look for a short on the NQ. Yeah, sometimes you just kind of, sometimes charts, technology just gets screwy. It's 10:11 a.m. here, Central Time. I do stream 8:30 to 11 Central every day that I'm available. This week we're only streaming Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's a half day. Thursday is 4th of July. Friday is the hangover day from everybody working. So everybody doing what I will be working. Everybody else having their fun on the 4th of July. But like I said, I think today and tomorrow will be the only 2 days of the stream this week. We are pretty, absolutely. You got to get the holiday pay. So this Monday and Tuesday, the only 2 streaming days this week. Back to a full regular schedule next week. I think we should be a regular schedule next week. I don't think there's any holidays. Nothing should be holding us back. So we are good there. But like I said, this week is going to be limited. If you read the write-up, understand what we got going on. If you don't know where the write-up is, it is pinned to the top of the YouTube, and I have shared it in the alerts portion of the Tradecaster. So I will share it in there as well one more time if you want to read it. It is in the Tradecaster chat. Overall, like I said, kind of just hanging out here. If I were not streaming, I would probably just be done for the day. Yes, I'm very close to passing these, and I'm not going to just hammer into a trade just to hammer into a trade. I have gone through all of those learning pages in the past where, you're very close to passing and then you just hammer into things and then just happens to burn you because you start to get into that tilt mode. And this is an area I just don't want to trade. When VWAP gets close like this, all the orders like to be executed in that area. Point of control is right here. It might flip to that 920 level soon, but still just not sold on any direction from here. Very sideways action, below opening range. $45. Yeah. Deck sees the SPY breaking out of a wedge pattern here. which I don't disagree. It looks like it's breaking out as well. Let me see if I can get this opening range. I don't like these red lines. They're very difficult to see. %76 long, 77% long in the NQ. Sometimes they are right. If they are in the money, 19902, they are long from 19902. That is not a bad long location for them. They're in the money, and they're just going to continue to hold on to that for a bit. So that could mean that they are correct. 78, 76% long, running into the bottom of the opening range low. S&P is cracking through that wedge pattern that Deck was talking about. We have gotten above that 926 level right here, that white line, that 926 that I've been talking about as far as the bullish bearish level for the week, or weekly, early on in the week, I should say, most of the time. I usually am pretty smart about if we're above this level, it's bullish. If we're below this level, we're bearish. And you can see we tried to hold it once, failed it, bearish down, came up to it, retested it, bearish again. We sat right on it, indecision, trying to hold low, 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 low. So this is the point of interest for what we're looking at. And clearly, I'm fairly certain that this level will become the point of control at some point. But the point of control is very close. 915 is right there. And you can see opening range being respected. Not a ton of volume executed between the opening range. So if you do accept back into here, I would expect that full rotation right through kind of quick. But right now, Delta's getting a little bit heavy. Price is getting heavy. We are still above VWAP. Still above 26. It's amazing how price kind of just... the more you do it, the more you understand, where price will be, where it wants to go, what it likes to do. And based on other names like NVIDIA, we are looking at NVIDIA at 123 right now. So that's the base of the support from pre-market. I think if it does crack above that, then we do get some upside pressure for the NQ. If it does break above today's high, which is pretty much the opening price, which is like a 123.80-ish, 78, that'll rotate it back up to 125, I would guess. If it doesn't break it, and if it breaks and hold, I should say. If it breaks and fails, rotate back down to 122.30. About 45 minutes left in the stream. I don't have any real trades at the moment, so I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick, and I'll be right back. Finish this espresso shot first. Alrighty, back in action. Let's see here. What do we think is going to happen with this 19926 level holding here, NVIDIA holding. Not much. Alrighty. Saturday. Right. 1020 here. So with the S&P not really breaking with force up over this little trend line crack, possibly if we get up into that 55.21 into VWAP, look for a failure, could even fail from here. If that happens, then we're going to watch to see what happens with the failure of 926. If 926 gives up and you start to rotate down, I would maybe look for a short through the overnight low to see if we can get some continuation down into 19,841. Do I think we'll get all the way down through there? I don't know. I don't think so. I think really, maybe we can, try and catch a direction and start to see it move that way. But we also could see this being the sweep of that low, higher low. Maybe it'll hold here, create a pattern to break out from, accumulate, break into that opening range, try and break above it. If you do break above it, wait for that overnight high before you start to look for any sort of shorts, because I think maybe that'll create a rotational type day. Inside day from yesterday, technically kind of, not really, because we did flush the lows. Let's see what happens with it. If you are on YouTube, don't be afraid to hit like, hit subscribe. I appreciate everybody coming in here. I thank you for coming in and day out, supporting the channel. Still early in its days, but we are trying to provide as much value as possible to everybody in here. If you are a coffee aficionado like me, go over to daytradingcoffeeco.com and use my code PolicingPips for 15% off. We are planning on doing a funding fund, so the more coffee we can sell, a percentage of those sales will go to the funding fund, trying to get traders into accounts, giving back to the community a bit. So that's what I'm looking to do with that company there. So the more coffee we could sell, the better we could help out traders. Alrighty, there's a breakdown of 26. See if it'll hold. If that does hold, I think 26 kind of is our liquidity point. I would be cautious on the short through here, but I do think it will go. So maybe I will take it. I want to see if it'll close. This failed breakout to me gives me an opportunity to think that this will rotate down. I would be cautious around 55.11. So if it gets to 55.11, there may be a bounce. But I'm just looking for $200 on this. Kind of be a quick little rip to the downside, be done with it. I do like the failure of it. I would have liked the failure of 26, but right on VWAP, I don't like it. And like I said, I'm willing to risk, 200 on this to catch 200, a little 1-to-1, and pass the combines. You get another two XFAs done and over with, and look to get that'll be 3, and then we're trying to do the 5 that were allowed. But I have 100K that I'm kind of working on the side. that is going to probably take the place of one of those. So thinking about it. Thinking of a sell here, and then look to see if I just catch down into, maybe the 80s here. NVIDIA is starting to curl. See if it'll hold the 122.83 level. That should be the point where it either breaks down or holds. And it looks like it wants to crack. S&P's is getting heavier. If it cracks, like I said, I'm just looking for a quick $200. Not even. That's if it breaks. I think if it breaks, we'll get a move like this. Probably. You'll see my take profit's technically going to be set for 1,500, but my personal daily profit target is 7 on this account. It'll lock out right at 7. So if it does get there, it'll flatten me. It's another beautiful feature of Top Step X, where it allows you that opportunity to do stuff like that. NVIDIA wicked through that low and now is trying to do it again. So let's see if it can accept below that level, below that 122.80. Might hold it. See, this is really, like I said, there's not like a ton of opportunity here. And this is something that I normally am not looking to trade. And you now see that the acceptance above that breakout point, like I think we can get this up into that 55.21. If that hits off and fails, then you rotate back down to 55.11. We are now starting to hold and accept over that 926 again. We'll see if it'll close over there. We do have another 4 minutes left in this 30-minute candle. 30-minute hold. Lower high. Delta. So this is where you see Delta, right? Big divergence here. You're trying to make new highs in price, and Delta, the aggressive buyers are not stepping up enough relative to previous highs here. But you can start to see it kind of creeping up. If it gives up, this is likely to get heavier quicker because of that divergence there. So let's see what happens with that. If it wicks into the opening range and then fails with a good delta divergence, that's a good reason for that to start to roll over. S&P's delta is a little bit stronger. They are not aggressive buyers here. It seems like it's a more passive order there. Kind of want to short 26. You see that retest of 55.21. Don't want to be bottom ticked. I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to leave it alone. See what happens with this. Like I said, there's low volume in here, so it could rotate right through it. Delta's trying, although it's not quite getting there, right? So you're not getting that super aggressive buyer coming in as you get to a key level, an area that has been a sell. So, or it hasn't been a sell yet, but sell here. Now we're finally breaking above it. If it holds and accepts, the rotation on up. If it doesn't, then it fails and rotates down. You do have this little bit of a pattern forming here, that support level there. If that gives up, maybe you get that rotation down as well. Russell's making a flat bottom. S&P is still well below opening range, right? Opening range is up there. Still below VWAP. NQ, I think, is the only thing over VWAP right now. So just kind of talking through this. 2 minutes left in the 30-minute candle. Got the kids yelling in the background. I like that idea. I don't know. It's not, like I said, it's not A+. It's kind of a very sideways type A, which does indicate to me an opportunity to potentially short it at higher levels, or to go long off those lows. S&P is looking to try and push their way through VWAP. NVIDIA just took off. As I mentioned, right? Look at that. Beautiful move on NVIDIA. I would be staying away from shorts at the moment. Stay away from the shorts. The NVIDIA move right there cracked, as I mentioned. If it cracks above 123.78, you're going to start to get a little bit of a push. We did that just down here at this low here. 123.46, 47, maybe even 50. You see that now igniting up to the upside. That 125.34 is probably a pretty good target, although we do have the high from the end of the day on Friday at 124.71. So watch out for that. If this fails this breakout and starts to rotate back down, that's when you'll start to get some of the interest in the NQ to start to roll over. You can see S&P and NQ both rolling a little off of that opening range, off of that level. If NVIDIA gets back down into that 123.50 area, this might start to roll. There you go. There's the support level there. You crack 126 down the previous day low, overnight lows. That might be the speedy, quick little move I need to grab. $75 long up there. Another reason. 19,921. They are in the money, but quickly approaching to be out of the money. Lower highs, higher lows, right? You got this divergence here. You got a lower high in delta, a higher high in price. If you crack through this trend line, potentially you're going to be looking for this delta to start getting really heavy. NQ, NVIDIA just failed that level. I will give a quick short stop sell here. I normally don't like to play that, but I like the level. No, I just had enough. Yeah. This is if NVIDIA fails. Nope, we're good. Could support this and continue on up. NVIDIA just gave up the 123.50 level, so that's where I see the heaviness coming in. Delta's starting to get a little heavier too. Let's see if it'll go. I'll give it a shot. Like I said, I'm willing to risk a little bit of this gain for the day. Probably 200 of it to make 200. Nice little bounce off that level. Still watching the 55.21 level in the S&Ps. Accept the risk and let it happen. Nice support there. S&P is now rolling from that level, so this could be a good level to rotate us down. NVIDIA down below 123.50 again, but it's using that as support, so we're going to be seeing what happens with it here. If it gives you a nice flush, then this should give us a flush and give us the $200 that we need to pass these two combines. Quick short, just trying to get a little tiny move here. And if it holds, then it keeps holding. We're okay with that. That's why I have my stop order in where I do, because I'm really looking for a fast move of a break of a key level. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. NVIDIA just held that 123.50, starting to rotate back up, giving you now a lower high. Let's see what happens with it if it does hold above 124 or not. And you can see our 30-minute candles here looking a little bit bullish, right? Bounced from that 41 level, came to this 26, bounced right off 26 again. And this is the new 30-minute candle here that we're only 4 minutes deep on. So we've come back, tested it. If we kind of crack the high here, expect the rotation up to 82.50-ish. Another short idea. I like that this is still, S&P is still holding below the VWAP. Pause. Nothing doing here at the moment. You can see this resting order here. If the market decides to give you a heavy melt, I'll get triggered in on that. Otherwise, we are up 511 on the day. I am looking to pass two more to get back to XFAs. So I got one XFA here, looking to pass these two, and then I have 100K that I'm rocking as well currently. So I'm really focused on these two until that. I'm trying to maximize my funding for moving forward for the rest of the year. So if I pass these two, then starting next week, we'll trade the 3 XFAs. And then I'll have the 100K in the background, just slowly, making that get to the price target. And then we'll have that in the basket as well. But right now, we're just kind of chilling, waiting, seeing what kind of presents itself here, if this is going to rotate through this range or if it's going to continue up. You can see now cumulative delta trying to wedge out just, opposite of price. So it's starting to get a little bit more strong, a little bit more aggressive here. So if we do crack above this with some more delta, then I think we get a nice little pop. If not, if we can continue to respect this and then the delta starts to make lower lows, you're going to get a breakdown of price, and the selling is more aggressive than the buying. Russell just broke its low. NVIDIA is still having a hard time giving you more of a move to the upside. So if NVIDIA gives up, then this does give up. And that's really what I'm looking for here. Quick little move. Market watch. Treasury yields rise. Okay. Another failure, rejection of 55.21. Seeing if that'll help us roll over some. Looks like it wants to. If I get ticked in and ticked out, so be it. That'll be it for the day. But I think I could make it work. I like that heaviness in the S&Ps. I like the heaviness in NVIDIA. If this cracks this, you probably get a hard move quick. And then you see what happens from there. But right now, it's still supporting this level. Got 73% long on the tilt, so still heavy long. I would like to see that get up into the 80s. If you can get into the 80s, then the short probably comes in. If not, then we're just going to continue to grind higher. Nice little higher grind day. This is turning into that summer trading month price action. right? Slow grind to the other side. All right, so now you're starting to try and crack that trend line. And NVIDIA made new low. We're trying to make a new low right here, cracking through that support. I say if 26 gives up, we get down to previous day lows pretty fast. Or even into that 910 should be all we need anyway. $26 is acting as support again there, but I think it'll give it up if we get in. There we are. We're in. Should have got heavy fast there. I didn't get heavy fast enough. Come on. Nice little bounce from that 26. This is why I don't like to play with VWAP. VWAP likes to act as support. S&P is just bouncing a little bit there. Could have took the crack of that trend line. That's really where the entry should have been up there. But I think we still are good with 26 if it breaks down. I'm just not willing to give all this back, right? All right, we're going to wait on that. Flatten all. Up 260 on it. I still think that this could go, but I was in like a liquidity zone there for where it was grabbing. And NVIDIA is still rolling over. So the short idea is still valid, I think, until this does give up. Can't be mad at that. Got to take a shot at it. You saw how heavy it was coming into that 26. 26 is clearly support at the moment. Took a shot. Accepted the risk, and we move on to the next idea. Still, S&P is trying to get back up over that 21. NVIDIA trying to recover again. Was that a liquidity sweep of the low? Could have been. Nah, we're not doing that. I like it though. Yeah, I'm going to sell this one. Wait till it closes below this trend line. Nope. I'm going to wait. Be patient. Let it get below that 26 again. I want to hold the 26 level. That's really the key to that. If you can hold below it, then we can get involved in the short. So this does seem very strong as well right here. Support-wise. We got about 15 minutes left in the stream. Let's see if we get one more breakdown of 26. If not, we'll be done for the day. Gave back half of it on that quick idea. Nothing that I'm not willing to take again. Just wanted to see if I could secure it on that one trade. Didn't happen. We could always get it tomorrow. Finish the day up. Honestly, if we were in funded accounts, we would have not been trading still. Up 511 across 3 accounts. Take your money and you run, right? NVIDIA is still trying to push through lows. Kind of lingering right there at 123.50. If we get a nice wick high here and then immediately reject it, then, I mean, tilt has fizzled off a little. Delta still making lower highs. Price trying to make higher highs. Here's even equal highs. Russell curling up some. S&P still just grinding higher. Opening range. You front run this short through 39. Front run the short through 39, then rotate through 26, then back down to 29.06. NVIDIA is curling down. I like that failure of the opening range. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Order filled.
If we get the view out, we'll go to even. Well, I'll go to even now. See if we can get a flush to this level. Get over that. Okay, see if we can flush it. Front ran it a little bit. Looking to flush this one. Take that break. Take that. Quick little pop. Got back 100 of the one that we lost. So just shy still. Oop. Trades there. Yeah, we got a 110 back of the 245. So we're down one little trade there. But that was a nice little grab. Quick little grab of what we were looking for on that move. And then now if 26 gives up, then it should give up fast. I'm willing to take that money and run on those last two. See if I can get one more. That was a failed breakdown of that level though. So S&Ps could be rotating up. If it gets up over 55.21 again, then I would see if that VWAP comes in 55.23. And then I want to see what happens with NQ with all that. We are up 370 across two accounts here. Come 11 o'clock, we will be locked out. Not looking to overtrade this. Not looking to give back any much more. So if I get a good flush of this 26, then I'll start to look to see if it'll work out. If not, then I really think that a breakdown of this 26 level leads us to that previous day low pretty easily. It has to hold though, like a break and a hold. You can see holding here. NVIDIA is just kind of slowly fading back down. And the Nasdaq's holding up. Well, let's see if Microsoft's holding it up at all. Microsoft is still holding highs, looking to push higher. So that's something that's holding us up. Microsoft, NVIDIA's, like I said, still kind of like giving you a pullback a little bit, but it is in a trend here that could crack. And if it does crack, then this gives up probably fast, but it seems like it's holding. Nice sideways chop. No longer important. This one will be important. The S&Ps. This is so chop range bound. Sell the high, buy the low, sell the high, buy the low. But then at some point it's going to break and then you're going to get screwed. NVIDIA held that trend. You see NVIDIA here holding this uptrend. Holding. Price correcting. If we can get above this 123.80 again, then this continues to push us up. You can see Microsoft holding these highs, but looking like it wants to break out a little bit. Right? Looks like it wants to crack through that level there. Our longer term 30-minute chart, we grabbed that liquidity at 26 and still looking like we're pushing upside on it. This is a bullish type pattern, I guess you would consider it. We did grab that liquidity at 41, like I mentioned, and we're kind of pressing back up. We could still rotate back down and get into that low at 906, 925. So, I don't know. It's just kind of worth watching, seeing what happens. NVIDIA giving a nice bounce. So this could rotate to the high end of the opening range. S&P is looking to hold above 55.21. Got about 10 minutes left in the stream. If anybody's looking at anything besides what we're looking at here in the NQ S&Ps, let me know. I will gladly look at it. Realistically, up 371. Gave back a little bit on the day. On the last, we took one shot at a short through that 26. Took the short there at 40-ish. Got back some of that one little loss. Overall, we've traded really well today. We're very patient, waiting for levels, waiting for key things to happen, to line up. I do want to see if this opening range is going to hold or if it's going to fail, or if we're going to break above it. It seems like NVIDIA wants to crack and go lower. It seems like the S&Ps wants to crack and go lower. Will that bring the NASDAQ down? And does that give us another opportunity to try and just short this from this high here with a cheap risk inside that opening range? I don't trust it currently for myself yet. It's not an A+ setup. Going to wait and be patient, see if we can get below that 26. Below the 26 makes sense for a more justifiable short. I'm not looking for a huge piece of any sort of move ever, really, but more so than any time, I'm looking for just a quick little base hit with these last little dollars I got to make on this account. Like I said, I was at 511. I'm at 371. Gave back about 100 and change. Nothing that I can't get back in one good trade. Tomorrow is a new day, and we can pass these accounts. No rush. Like I said, I'm not trying to trade these XFAs until at least next week anyway. So to get, 2 more today or tomorrow doesn't make a big difference to me. I like that. Sweep of the high, failed breakout, looking like it wants to rotate down. I want to see NVIDIA just cracked, so I am going to try and short through 43 just to see if we can get down to 26 at least, and then I'm going to start to try and secure this further down. If S&P's cracks here too, that gives us a really good indication that this should rotate down. We tried to crack it the breakout in the delta, and then it failed immediately. So if we fail this opening range low, then we could look to rotate down. S&P's is holding this trend line, so if it doesn't give up, then this is invalidated. NVIDIA is still holding that crack, but it's right into support. If it gets below 123, then I would say it sells, but it seems like it's holding 123 pretty nicely. Three minutes left in really my trading session, because if I don't get triggered in before 5 minutes to the hourly close, I like to watch for that hourly close anyway. So I will be hopping off here at 11. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I will be here till 11 a.m. Central Time. I'll be back on tomorrow, 8:30 as well. I'm out of water. Alrighty. Holding above that 55.21. Looking like that we're probably going to tag off on this opening range high. If that's the case, I probably will be all done and good for the day. Solid, another winning day, another green day today. Keeping that green streak alive. Nice little green streak continues. We're just shy of 300, or just over 300 away from passing 2 more combines. So very, very happy with our trading so far this week. Kicked off the week good. If this is a wick off high and rotates down through this opening range low, I will be short, but it has to happen in the next minute. So I appreciate all the likes. I feel all the interaction. I like to talk. I like to kind of communicate with everybody what I'm thinking, what kind of trades I'm looking at. I like to talk about what you guys are looking at. Try to give some sort of semblance of an education in here. Overall, like I said, it's I appreciate everybody coming by every single day. I'll always be grateful for people spending their time with me. They could be anywhere, but they're here, so it's cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I think right now I got 1 more minute really left in my trading session. That 5-minute rule is about to take place, and I bet you this thing fails right as I decide to lock myself out for the day. But no FOMO, no cares in the world. We got 70% tilt long. There it is. That's 55. We're going to go ahead and lock that. We're going to lock ourselves out of this account here. Yes, lock me out. Confirmed another winning day here at Policing Pips at Tradecaster on YouTube. Here's our daily balance, daily stats. You can see as of last Monday all the way through today, we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day winning streak of, pretty much averaging about $200 and change here each day. We have a couple, lower days, a couple higher days, but, all in all, we're doing pretty well. We're up on the account 23, 24, 80, but now we need, this is not including today. What is this? We need just shy of 300 on both of these. Just shy of 300 on this one. So 53,720, 52,720. This one is locked out as well. 52,695. So one of these days they got a little bit off. I think it was this one right here. There's a little bit more on that day. Yep. So otherwise, pretty much exactly the same. Took a couple extra trades here. This is probably going to fail now, and I'm done for the day. But I'm happy to be here and help you guys out. I'll switch over to the 100K and give you a peek of what I'm looking at with this. Nah, we're good. All right. I appreciate everybody. Like I said, anybody have anything to say prior to me leaving? You suck. You're the best. We love you. Whatever you want to say. If you need any help, let me know. On that write-up, there is a comment box. If you are looking to see anything different, just let me know. Or if you like what we got going on or you don't or whatever, just drop a comment in that box. Go like it. Go buy some coffee. Like I said, anytime we do sell coffee, is a percentage of what we are selling in the coffee company is going to go to traders via the funding fund. So the more coffee we could actually sell, the better. Just you guys are the determinant of that factor. So right now, just trying to spread the word, get everybody who's trading in, who likes coffee, into our community, right? I appreciate you, Carlos. Anytime we can provide really good value, that's what we're looking to do here. Obviously, for me personally, my day was done right there. If I was not on stream, not trading, giving you value, I would have been likely locked out and done up 511. If I didn't have to pass another combine, if I'm not trying to pass these two, I would have never executed anymore. Overall, like I said, these moves are the ones to be had early in the day, the rest of the day, summer trading hours. You're going to get a little bit grindy action. It's going to be like that. Just be mindful of it. Understand what market conditions you're in, what kind of trading we'll have moving forward. Like I said, tomorrow, JPOW talks 8:30 right at the open. We have Jolts at 9. So tomorrow may be muted early. And then after that 9 o'clock or after JPOW is done, you might get some movement in a specific direction. And we may create a directional market. But that's pretty much all I have for today. Like I said, another green day, up 371 across 2 accounts. So, we were up 511. As I mentioned, I think, like I said, if I wasn't trading just to get myself into 2 more XFAs, I probably would have never even took these other 2 trades. So understand those things. When I do mention it early, if I say I should lock out here, that's pretty much it. That's something that you should be considering as well. Just like Jofi got in, got out, he was done. If you are a member of Tradecaster, don't be afraid to stay over there, chat in the chat. Tradecaster.com is a fantastic spot for traders, by traders. You got plenty of people in there working together for one cause of just helping people become better traders. So become a member if you're not. It's free to try. The link is in my chat bio here. Just create a free account. Once that 7-day free trial expires, you'll still have access to my room. You can always create a paid account if you like the value that you got, and then continue to get access to all the education and all that stuff that you can get, and all the paid rooms. Really, it pays for itself with a couple good trades. I recommend it for sure. But like I said, you'll still have access to me if you do so desire to stay on a free account. So until tomorrow, it's 11 o'clock here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be mindful that it is a holiday shortened week. We are only on today and tomorrow. Wednesday and Thursday are shortened days, and Friday is a hangover day from 4th of July for a lot of people. It is non-farm, so we might catch one trade there. But like I said, I'm looking to pass these tomorrow, potentially, hopefully. And then we'll look to be trading XFAs only starting next Monday. I mean, I'll have combines in the background, but we will be back trading all 3 XFAs come next Monday. So until then, I will see you guys all tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Until then, deuces. Later, Scott.